Hi everyone, it's Nancy Ampaw. I'm the International Marketing Manager at Black Belt 360. It is day 2 of the Circular Summit, and I'm here today with Nick-Hague Moss. He is the Head of Client Development at NIQ GFK. I always forget that. I only remember GFK, but got there in the end. Yeah. He is a panelist, and he discusses all things trends to do with some of the buying differences between Gen Z and millennials, and also even boomers, in terms of how they purchase refurbished devices, particularly iPhone. So let's talk a little bit more about that. What do you think are some of the things that are really striking in terms of the generational differences when buying refurbished devices, and the type of device as well?
Yes, I think we're at an interesting point, because we see that the sort of primary motivation for people buying refurbished devices is price and value, but that all consumers are, environmental issues and sustainability concerns are important now. They've kind of waxed and waned in recent decades, but now they're sort of here to stay at an important level. Price is dominating in terms of purchase decision, but we see for younger cohorts that environmental concerns are more important, and we think that's only going to grow as that cohort gets older. New generations come in, and we also see an increasing importance amongst older generations going forward. So I think coupled with that is that we see that younger generations, so the Gen Zs, millennials, are more fixated and focused on more recent devices. So very willing to sort of trade up to a more recent handset on a refurbished basis. If they can get that higher end handset refurbished, that doesn't matter. They want the higher end handset.
Interesting. I really like how you highlighted on the sustainable element, and also that eco-consciousness. I know that there's so many debates at the moment, and several discussions around the way in which we can be sustainable and the extent to sustainability when purchasing refurbished devices. Do you really think that that is the be all end all of, being sustainable and being eco-conscious? Meaning, if I purchase a refurbished device, it means that I'm going green and I'm really contributing to not polluting the environment. Do you think that that's a fair sentiment, or there's a little bit more that consumers have to do to really make an impact?
Yeah, I think it's part of a wider trend in society where people are seeing, the impacts of sort of environmental crisis, extreme weather events. We're seeing, all sorts of impacts, natural and unnatural, so that people want to. In a lot of our work, we see what we call a say-do gap, where people say that sustainability is important, but what they're actually able to do is much less. They might do some, limited recycling. So they're looking for governments and private sector companies to sort of facilitate that sustainable need that they have.
Yeah, very true.
And buying a refurbished phone is part of that. I mean, it's not the start and end of everything, but it's part of that. And we see that with buying secondhand clothes, in terms of people offsetting their carbon footprint, taking less plane rides, etc. So it's part of it, but it's not the whole thing. And I think there's a lot more to come, from a tech perspective, especially people sort of understanding the visibility of the footprint of technology is not always very visible. Tech brands aren't necessarily seen as the most sort of eco-conscious, so there's more that can be done there.
Very true. I think that's excellent, and it really kind of emphasizes that there's a slow and steady growth in understanding sustainability and eco-consciousness in the tech space. And I think with so many devices that are going to waste every year, and just conversations about ITAD, IT asset disposition, and other things like that, do you think that we might be seeing a change next year in terms of how we even dispose assets?
I think we're going to see an acceleration. I think we're sort of, the stars are aligned in terms of the commitments that government's made to net zero, the raised consciousness of sustainability, and coupled with that, we're not perhaps in the eye of the storm of the cost of living crisis, but it's still very prominent. Prices aren't, we've still got inflation, prices aren't going down. So I think you're only going to see an acceleration over the coming years.
Fantastic. I think that we can be optimistic, definitely.
It's moving in the right direction.
Yeah. And how would you conclude how you have found some of the key trends that you have found this year? How would you summarize this industry? as far as, refurbished devices, and just how would you just sum up this sector?
Yeah, I
and
think
how it's gone
it's
this year?
interesting because I think we forget actually, we're sort of in the middle of it. Is the industry, or this category, refurbishment, is still in its infancy.
Yeah, great point.
And it's maturing. We're going to see consolidation in terms of, we see a long tail of retailers and specialists at the moment, that there is going to be consolidation there, and especially from an operator perspective, they're playing in this market, perhaps not playing in this market in a huge way compared to new handset sales. So we're going to see more there, and more of a sort of circular economy, I would say, in terms of people both trading in their devices, providing the supply for other people or for themselves to buy refurbished devices.
Fantastic. Very, very well said. So I think we can conclude that one of the things to definitely look out for next year is an increase in sales in the refurbished device industry, whether it might be laptops,
Absolutely.
mobile phones, which are the most popular one.
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
So,
And that's interesting because, we see with something like smartphones, sales of new handsets is actually pretty flat or
yeah.
even stagnant, declining, whereas we see double-digit growth in refurbished handsets. So,
Yeah,
that's a
fantastic.
consumer need. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we want to be. Thank you so much. And thank you, Nick.
You're welcome, Nancy.
Thank you.
Thank you.